Hello and welcome to our next installment of the Sunday Q&A. This is just where viewers can ask me questions directly about pretty much anything. About my work, about travel, about me personally, or just anything else that they are curious about. And we have a lot of questions this week. And our first question comes from Ibathon. And he asked, or she, I don't know, it could be a woman. You have an appearance which would be seen as strange, perhaps non or antisocial in the professional world in which you seem to succeed. What sort of reactions do you get from the foreign business world? Man, that is an excellent question. I mean, that's like probably one of the best questions I've ever been answered, because that's a question that I wonder a lot about myself, right? You know, I'll contextualize this. You know, I come from, a crusty traveler punk that would live in like squats and like travel around the world. But I also like to write, and I also like to kind of find out what was going on in the places that I traveled in. So I started blogging, and I became, relatively successful at blogging. They got me a book deal, and then after I did that book, it was received pretty well by, both the journalistic, the public, and also the academic community. So I started getting like a lot of, additional opportunities beyond that. And at first it was kind of strange to me, man. I mean, honestly, I'm just, this tattooed, bearded kind of traveler punk guy, but yet I'm getting these, super high profile, jobs, these super high profile like speaking engagements, like I'm going around giving like keynote speeches at like government conferences, at like I'm facilitating big corporate events. I'm giving talks at very formal, very suit and tie like events, right? And it seemed to me like, I don't know, it's like do these people know what I look like, right? Because like to me it seemed like there was almost like nothing. There was almost like no reaction to how I physically appear. It seemed to have absolutely no negative impact at all. I grew up in an era where if you tattooed your hands and your neck and you look like I do, you're not going, everyone told you you're not going to have the same opportunities that everybody else has. But what I found is that actually, I seem to have more opportunities, right? And that's almost because I bring an entire package that all makes sense when it's all put together, right? I do my job in not a very conventional way. I travel full time. I'm actually going to the places that I write about. I'm meeting with the people that actually run this project. I'm on the ground full time. I'm talking to the people in the streets, right? That is not really conventional in this era of journalism, right? So I'm kind of seen as almost as oddity from the start, almost as outlier, from the get-go, just based on how I do my work. So like when I show up and people seeing that I have like all these tattoos and I look like I do, it's what they expect. They're not surprised, right? Because everything I do is a little bit different than how things are conventionally done. And I think bringing this entire package of like unconventionality, right, of being something that's different than what they normally get from kind of a normal speaker or a normal journalist or a normal author, right? It seems almost kind of special, right? I mean, we live in this era where the outlier, the person on the outside that can look in and tell the people on the inside kind of what's going on from a different perspective is kind of valued. I mean, this is the era that kind of deifies, Steve Jobs. This is the era that kind of puts on a pedestal, people who can get their information from other sources that aren't the mainstream, right? The people who, know about things that nobody else knows about. Right? I mean, everybody knows what's written in the mainstream media. Everybody knows what's published in the mainstream publications. We live in the information age. You don't get any regard or status from that. But if you could bring in somebody who's doing something a little bit different, who's, kind of has access that other people don't have, who maybe has perspectives that you're not gonna get from getting the normal suit and tie, you know, white, you know, brush cut kind of dude. I mean, you can market that, you can brand that, and I mean, as far as I know, there's nobody else really doing what I do, you know, how I do it, right? And I mean, the reaction that I've experienced from this has been, you know, even to me, it's been absolutely phenomenal. It's been amazing. It's been something that I haven't expected. I mean, I'm doing, like, you know, these webinars from these big companies, and they're not only, you know, advertising that I'm, you know, doing these webinars from them, but they're putting my face and, you know, my tattoos and all this in their promotional material. And these are straight-laced, you know, white collar, you know, completely, you know, legit, standard, conventional companies who are doing this. And all I can say is, you know, I may have come around at the right time, right? I may be in the right place at the right time. Anyway, on to the next question. The next question comes from Neil Tilbrook. Good to hear from you again, Neil. Considering you have family and you are doing short-term rentals, I'm wondering how you choose accommodation. Do you pre-book or wait until you arrive to get a feel for the place? Whew, another excellent question. And I'll answer it. When I was a young traveler, when I was an itty bitty traveler, maybe 19, 20 years old or so, I can remember being in Santiago, Chile, kind of like hanging out with kind of these older travelers. And there was this one guy who was kind of a mountaineer, you know, a rock climber, real adventurous kind of traveler. And, you know, he used to, when he was my age, he used to travel around like all over the world just as a backpacker, you know, free and poor. And as the night was ending, you know, it was a night of drinking and partying and having like a really, really good time. He turned to me and he said, I used to have more time than I have money. Now I have more money than I have time. You know, eventually he became successful in business and he didn't really, you know, have the ability to get away and travel so much, and he was almost kind of envious of what I was doing, or at least, you know, he was kind of nostalgically looking back at his life when he did something similar to what I was doing. And I replied, I always hope that I have more time than money, which is kind of an arrogant reply, but now, you know, that was 16, 17 years later, I can kind of see where he is, where he's coming from, right? Because now I'm not going to say I have more money than time yet, but, you know, the kind of ratio between money and time has kind of evened out, right? So I'm no longer in a position where I really want to spend, you know, multiple days looking for a place to live. I'd rather spend more money to be able to show up in a town, you know, move right into a place, you know, move in, get set up, start looking around, start working and getting everything going, than, you know, knocking on doors or, you know, reading, you know, posted notes in like supermarkets, or, you know, asking, you know, people in the streets if they know of a cheap place to stay. So at this point, I'm more interested in saving time than really saving money, which is kind of a polar shift from how I used to be, or how I used to approach travel. And so to answer this question more directly, now basically we've been using Airbnb a lot, right? Now it sounds lame, right? It sounds like totally conventional, but you know, when you get a host that's like an experienced Airbnb host that has decent reviews, usually there's no bullshit, right? You book online, you pay online, you pay Airbnb their fucking exorbitant, like ridiculously high, you know, service fee, but that gives you the ability to move right into a place without delay, right? Like I could move into a town, into a new city, into a new country, you know, take a taxi or an Uber or a train or whatever, right to where I'm gonna stay, move right in and be set up and ready to work, you know, within, you know, 10-15 minutes often, you know, and being able to save that time is just so incredibly valuable to me that, you know, I'm willing to spend the extra money. I mean, I used to. I mean, back in the older, my previous days of travel, it used to be worth it for me to move into a town, get the cheapest hostel possible, and then spend the next 3 to 5 days looking for an apartment to rent for, for a month or two. Right, that used to be worth to me, and I'd find, the cheapest apartments that you could imagine, right? I'd hit the streets, talking to people, checking places out, blah, 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 putting all this work and all this time into saving, a little bit of money. But now that's just not worth it, right? I mean, if I spend 3 to 5 days looking for an apartment now, that's 3 or 5 days that I'm not working. And the money that I'm going to lose from not working 3 to 5 days is going to be far greater than the money that I can save finding the cheapest place possible. So I just move right into a nice place on Airbnb, and I get started, and I, get working. And in the end, as far as the bottom line is concerned, I come out ahead financially, and my family is happier, and I'm happier, because looking for an apartment, no matter how you swing it, is not fun. All right, the next question comes from Michael Kuminski, an old Vagabond Journey reader. Thanks, Wade. I'm really enjoying your videos like I used to enjoy your blog. Keep up the good work. My question to you is, do you keep up to date with the news from the US? Do you follow the political happenings of Trump, or maybe more local politics in New York? Or do you find yourself not monitoring current US or world news as much because you and your family are constantly traveling and living more of a day-to-day vagabond lifestyle? Well, now this may sound kind of strange coming from a journalist, but basically I don't read the news. At least not the kind of mainstream day-to-day news, right? I mean, reading the news, especially in a country like the USA, where news organizations are essentially for-profit, entities trying to make money. Like reading what they put out is like watching an old couple argue on a porch, right? Yeah, it's intriguing at first. Oh wow, look at these old people are fighting, right? But after about 1 or 2 minutes, it gets a little lame. Right, and to be honest with you, I don't give a shit what Trump is doing. I don't give a shit what Trump is saying, right? I don't give a shit about what any fucking president is saying. Basically, I hate them all, right? Which I think is a very healthy position for a journalist to have. I do not have a political agenda. I do not have, a political party that I affiliate with. I do not have a political ideology that I identify with. I mean, basically, I despise activists, I despise politicians, I despise political systems, and I believe this gives me the ability to, essentially function ethically as a journalist. I mostly focus my research on, basically the reports of research firms. Long form articles like I like on sites like The Diplomat, that really kind of look into, what's actually happening in whatever, topic it is that I'm doing research on. And our last question comes from Jerry, who he basically asked if I have been impacted by YouTube's recent monetization changes. Now I gotta decide here if I want to give the long form answer or kind of more of a brief answer. I'm gonna start with the brief answer. No, I haven't. I mean, basically YouTube kind of changed. I mean, YouTube is owned by Google, and they're kind of linked in with Google's advertising platform, which is pretty much the most powerful online advertising platform there is. Basically, Google owns and runs online advertising. So no, I mean, and recently Google came up, or YouTube, I mean, they're both the same, came up with a new policy that says in order for YouTube channels to be monetized, they must have at least 1,000 subscribers and have brought in at least 4,000 view hours over the past year. And basically, like, we're really far beyond that. We have over 14,300 subscribers, and we bring in roughly 17,000 view hours per month. So we're not impacted at all by that. And the changes that they have made on the table are not that big, right? I mean, 4,000 view hours per year is roughly $50, right? You know, it's nothing, right? People who have like less than 1,000 subscribers and under 4,000 view hours per year are not making any money from YouTube. So it's almost an irrelevant discussion to talk about these new monetization changes. But Google isn't only about monetization. Google is about an entire algorithm process that gives traffic to certain channels and denies traffic to other channels. Basically, you know, I mean, there are some exceptions to this, but for the most part, YouTube controls who makes it on YouTube and who doesn't make it on YouTube. That's not me. You know, I'm completely 100% unmarketable. I swear my videos get fucking, you know, marked as, you know, inappropriate content for advertisers all the time. I drink beer. I am myself. I am real. Or at least I hope I come off as being real, right? Because that's kind of my intention here, right? I think that's the appeal. What I like on YouTube and what I like on the World Wide Web is content delivered from creators who are real, who are telling a real story. But I'm not doing too well here, right? You know, this is me, this is my real life, this is the real and raw reality of traveling the world, being an author and journalist isn't really working so well, right? Now, our subscribers is kind of skyrocketing, right? We're getting over 1,000 new subscribers per month, which is really good if you look at the trajectory of this channel. You know, for the first 10 years that I've been doing this YouTube channel, we got 10,000 subscribers. Now in the past few months, we were almost up to 15,000, right? So we're doing really well, right? But I've noticed that the amount of kind of organic traffic, the amount of traffic that, you know, Google search and Google's recommendations is giving us has gone way down, right? Pretty much the only traffic that we are getting on this channel is coming from this channel's subscribers. It's coming from people like you who tune in and watch every time that there's a new video. And we're not getting anything extra anymore, right? And I kind of feel that this has to do with the new YouTube monetization policies, which seem to have had a new algorithm delivered with it. And basically, you know, I'm kind of seeing, I hope this isn't the case, but it's kind of looking like YouTube is using this guy going out and filming a dead body in Japan as an excuse to give more traffic to proven advertiser-friendly channels rather than people like me who may go off and film a dead body. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I was walking through the suicide forest in Japan and I saw a dead body, I would film it and I would publish it. Why? Because this is a channel about real life. Real life isn't all about puppies. It's not all about, you know, jumping off of cliffs in Thailand into like these beautiful bays. It's not all about going around New York City as some millionaire hipster. Real life is raw. Real life is ugly. Real life sometimes has to do with death. Right? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty clear I'm not going to be successful here, right? You know, out of all the media platforms that I publish on, YouTube is the one that gets the least amount of views, the least amount of attention, the least amount of action. However, this is the platform where I seem to have the most interested audience, the most engaged audience, the biggest audience that seems to like me, right? So I'm going to keep making these videos, but they're going to be made with the assumption that nobody but you guys is going to watch them, because that's really the reality here. So while we weren't, you know, directly impacted by YouTube's new demonetization policies, we seem to have been impacted by what appears to be YouTube's new algorithm changes, which, you know, send traffic to certain videos and divert traffic away from other videos. So basically guys, we're on our own here. You know, we're on our own little island floating in the sea of YouTube. It's pretty clear that I'm not going to get any traffic that doesn't come from the subscriber base. So as much help as you guys can give me, it's gonna be much appreciated. And that just about wraps up our Sunday Q&A session. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing all the things that you do to make this, you know, a very enjoyable thing to do. And if you have any other questions for me, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Send me a message on Twitter, you know, Facebook, email, however you can contact me. And as always, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Till next week.